Well, to talk about this, we're now joined by Anthony Durocher. He is the Deputy Commissioner of the Bureau's Competition Promotion Branch. Joins us right now in studio. Anthony, thank you for being here.
Thanks, Michael. Great to be here.
So, when you talk about airlines, obviously, it's this long list of complaints that go back many, many years from many different Canadians. So why study it right now?
Well, because it's important. First of all, I think we recognize that the airline sector is so important for Canadians. And what we're seeing is more complaints from consumers, some indications that prices are higher than elsewhere. It is a concentrated sector, of course, with Air Canada and WestJet having the dominant share of the market. And also recent events, we've seen Lynx Air exit the marketplace. And we want to do a deep dive and assess how is competition working and how can we make it better.
Okay, how you make it better. You've just closed out public consultations. I'm wondering, when you heard from Canadians, what do they want you to be looking at?
Largely how to make it a better experience and lower prices. And we know that competition is the solution for that. Competition is great for consumers. It means lower prices, more choice, more innovation. And we've heard from a lot of Canadians. The consultation closed yesterday, as you said. We've heard from over 1,000 Canadians, some with tangible ideas for the parameters of our study. What are some of the issues we've looked at? So we've heard a host of issues, and really we're at the stage of our work right now where we're going to hone in, analyze everything we've received, and really try and identify the most meaningful areas for our review to make sure it provides the most value for Canadians. Shortly we would be launching the market study with the final terms of reference. So here are the issues that we're going to look at. And ideally, we're going to make very tangible findings and recommendations that's going to flow from that.
Okay, so that's that will flow from that. Although, when you talk about affordability as one of the concerns being raised by Canadians, it was Flair Airlines, WestJet, Air Canada. They've all pointed to reducing airport fees and rent as a way to get the costs down for consumers. Is that something you'll be looking at?
Yeah, well, certainly we've heard a lot about airport fees. And right now what we proposed to study in our draft was to carve out airport governance except as it relates to airline competition. So there are a number of ways where airport access to slots or fees could conceivably influence competition. So we're going to digest all the information we've received and look at that. But we've also heard about, give you an example, the state of foreign ownership restrictions on the industry. So the ability of foreign capital to come in to support some of the new upstarts. We've heard about looking at high-speed rail as an alternative to airlines as well for people who live between Quebec City and Windsor. So there are a number of issues we've heard at, and we're going to review everything right now and produce a final set of terms of reference to start the study in earnest.
I don't know if you can answer this, but you talked about, competition as being a good way of getting the unit price down, perhaps improving the experience for Canadians. But here we have a vast geography as a country, a limited population. How do you balance out the need for private corporations to turn a profit, but at the same time give Canadians the type of service that they're demanding?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And we're going into this fully recognizing Canada is a large country, dispersed population, and also but importantly for many Canadians, especially in the north or rural areas, this is their only option of transport, their only realistic option of transport. So that's why we need to study the economics of the sector and the reasons why newer airlines, ultra low-cost airlines, low-cost airlines have had a harder time. How can they be more sustainable in the Canadian market to provide that competition? But we have to look at the Canadian market as it is, but we're also going to be informed by other countries, right? If we look at, as an example, a country like Australia, not as big as Canada, similar geography, similar population base dispersed over it. So part of our work with our market study is going to look at internationally. What can we learn from other countries, how they've approached competition, what they've tried, and maybe import some of these best practices to Canada.
Okay, so a lot to be looking at. Now, my understanding is that the study is expected, to be launched in the coming months. What are the next steps at this point? Now that the public consultation is done, walk us through specifically what will be happening.
Yeah. So it is a new process because of changes to our law. So now that we've concluded the consultation, we would go to the Minister of Industry for the approval of the final terms of reference of our study. So these would be the parameters as to the issues that we're going to look at. Following that approval, we would publish that, and then our work starts in earnest. So we are an independent agency, so we would work to collect information from the marketplace, airlines, airports, experts, industry experts, business experts, international counterparts, to really try and collect as much information as possible, and then produce in June a report with findings about the state of competition, barriers to entry and exit, looking at how consumers make informed choice, and recommendations. And I think that'll be the most important thing to flow from this, will be recommendations to governments as to how we can increase competition in the airline sector, because again, we know more competition means lower prices, more choice, more innovation, and more productivity, which is very important these days.
Yeah, absolutely. A concern being raised time and again. Yeah. So a year from now, 2025 is what you're looking at in terms of a final report. You know, next year is also expected to be an election year. Does that affect the kind of impact this study might have?
Well, we're certainly mindful of potential democratic events next year, but we would aim to produce our final report in June. Obviously, we're guided by the facts and the evidence, and you know, we'll see how governments react to our report. But really, what we're looking to do is to make sure that we have a very robust report with key findings, recommendations that are very well supported by facts and evidence.
Anthony Durocher, really good to meet you. Thank you for this.
My pleasure. Thanks, Michael.